If you are over 60 and you are dealing with dizziness every time you stand up, feet that stay freezing cold no matter how warm the room is, or legs that feel heavy as concrete by the end of the day, stop dismissing these right now. These are not signs of aging. These are emergency signals from your blood vessels begging for your attention. I am Dr. Michael Kent, and today I am revealing 7 oils that research shows can clean your arteries and restore your circulation naturally. But here is what your doctor is probably not telling you. When you combine 2 specific oils together first thing every morning, one of them multiplies the circulation effect of the other by several times, creating a vascular benefit you simply cannot get from either oil alone. I will show you exactly which 2 oils and exactly how to combine them at the end of this list. But before we go any further, type one word in the comments right now: dizzy, cold, or heavy. Whichever symptom matches your life, just one word. I read every comment personally, and your answer shapes what I cover next. Here is what most people do not understand about poor circulation, and I want you to really hear this because it changes everything. Poor circulation does not arrive suddenly one morning. It does not show up on a single test result or announce itself clearly. It builds slowly over years, quietly, invisibly, while you go about your life completely unaware that something important is changing inside your arteries. And by the time your symptoms are impossible to ignore, the process has usually been underway for a decade or more. Inside every blood vessel in your body, there is a thin, living layer called the endothelium. Most people have never heard this word, and most doctors do not spend enough time explaining what it does. This lining is not passive. It is essentially the control system of your entire circulatory network. It sends the signals that tell your arteries when to relax and open wide, when to contract, when to let blood flow freely, and when to restrict it. When this lining is healthy and functioning properly, blood reaches your brain efficiently. You think clearly, you stand up without the room tilting. Blood reaches your legs and feet. They stay warm, they feel light, they recover quickly after walking. Blood delivers oxygen and clears waste from every tissue that depends on it. But here is what chronic low-grade inflammation does to that lining over time. It irritates it, quietly, persistently, daily. Not the dramatic inflammation of an injury or infection, silent inflammation, the kind that produces no fever, no visible swelling, no obvious signal, just a steady background irritation that year after year degrades the endothelium's ability to function. As that lining breaks down, it loses its ability to produce a compound called nitric oxide, the chemical signal that tells arteries to relax and dilate. Without adequate nitric oxide, your arteries stiffen. They become less responsive. Blood has to work harder to move through them. And your body tells you about this exactly the way you recognized at the start of this video. Dizziness when you stand because your brain is not getting oxygen fast enough. Cold feet because peripheral circulation is the last priority for a cardiovascular system under strain. Heavy legs because your muscles cannot clear metabolic waste efficiently when blood flow is compromised. These are not random symptoms, they are a coherent biological story. And once you understand the story, you understand exactly why the right oils can interrupt it at the source and begin reversing what has been building for years. Here is the truth that should have been told to you years ago. What you cook with, what you dress your food with, what you pour into your body every single day is either feeding that silent inflammation or fighting it. There is no neutral. Every meal either supports that endothelial lining or quietly taxes it further. And for decades, people over 60 were told to fear all fat, so they abandoned butter, avoided eggs, and switched to highly processed vegetable oils, without understanding that those oils were silently accelerating the very inflammation destroying their arteries. You were not wrong to follow that guidance. You were given the wrong information. But the research has moved, and what you do with that clarity starting today is what matters. Before I walk you through the 7 oils that actively support your circulation, I need to spend 2 minutes on the oils quietly working against you right now, because adding the right oils on top of a daily foundation of the wrong ones will not get you the results you need. Highly refined industrial seed oils, mass-produced soybean oil, standard canola oil, corn oil, generic sunflower oil are the dominant fats in the modern Western diet. They are in virtually every packaged food on the grocery shelf. They are in most restaurant kitchens. They are almost certainly in your home right now. These oils are extraordinarily high in omega-6 fatty acids, and the modern diet delivers omega-6 at approximately 20 times the ratio the human body can handle without triggering systemic inflammation. That excess omega-6 is a direct documented driver of endothelial inflammation, the exact biological process destroying your circulation. On top of that, these oils are chemically unstable under cooking heat. They oxidize rapidly the moment temperature rises, producing compounds that damage blood vessel walls at the molecular level. Every time these oils are heated in your kitchen, compounds are created that your endothelium was never designed to handle. When you see the words refined, light, blended, or vegetable oil on any label, put it back on the shelf. The words you are looking for are cold-pressed and unrefined. That distinction is not a marketing preference. It is the difference between an oil that retains its protective compounds and one that has been industrially stripped of everything that made it valuable to your body. Now the 7 oils, starting at number 7. Number 7 is sesame oil. And I want to begin here because this oil has been sitting quietly in kitchens for centuries, while mainstream Western medicine almost completely ignored it. Sesame oil contains 2 antioxidant compounds called sesamin and sesamolin. Here is what makes them genuinely remarkable. They do not work broadly throughout the body the way most antioxidants do. They neutralize oxidative stress, specifically at the arterial wall, directly at the endothelial lining where early arterial damage begins. That targeted action makes sesame oil particularly valuable as a prevention tool. Research has shown consistent reductions in blood pressure and arterial oxidative markers in adults using sesame oil regularly over time. Another advantage of sesame oil is its heat stability. It handles light to moderate cooking temperatures without breaking down into harmful byproducts the way more delicate oils do. 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Use it for light sautéing or as a finishing drizzle over roasted vegetables and grains. One honest caution: if you have elevated triglycerides or an existing lipid imbalance, begin with 1 tablespoon and pay attention to how your body responds over the first few weeks. This oil rewards consistency and moderation far more than volume. Number 6 is avocado oil. I recommend this one consistently, and the reasons are straightforward. It works, it survives real cooking conditions better than most options on this list, and the research supporting it holds up across different populations and metabolic profiles. The primary active compound in avocado oil is oleic acid, an omega-9 monounsaturated fat that makes up roughly 70% of its total fat content. When oleic acid replaces damaged industrial fats as your daily cooking base, something measurable happens in your lipid profile. LDL cholesterol, the form that contributes to arterial plaque formation, decreases, and crucially protective HDL cholesterol, the form responsible for carrying excess LDL away from arterial walls and back to the liver for clearance, is preserved or increased. That shift directly reduces the lipid environment that causes arteries to narrow progressively over time. For my patients managing insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, a group carrying disproportionately elevated cardiovascular risk, avocado oil is particularly valuable because stable blood sugar and reduced inflammatory fat work together to take sustained pressure off the arterial wall. Avocado oil's heat stability is another practical strength. It handles sautéing, roasting, and light pan cooking without oxidizing into harmful compounds. 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. A genuine warning on quality. A significant number of products labeled avocado oil on retail shelves are diluted with cheaper refined oils. You want cold-pressed, single ingredient with a deep green gold color and a mild grassy taste. If the bottle is pale and flavorless, the product has been refined and the therapeutic value is largely absent. Number 5 is black seed oil. I want to slow down here because this is the oil on this list that most surprises people, and the one most absent from mainstream Western clinical guidance, despite a serious and growing body of evidence behind it. Black seed oil is pressed from Nigella sativa seeds, and its central active compound is thymoquinone. Thymoquinone does something very specific that sets it apart. It directly suppresses inflammatory signaling pathways inside the arterial wall. Not broadly, not systemically, but targeting the chronic low-grade vascular inflammation that drives endothelial degradation specifically. Multiple randomized controlled trials have demonstrated meaningful reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure with consistent black seed oil supplementation. But the finding most directly relevant to the symptoms you recognized at the beginning of this video is this. Black seed oil has been shown in research to reduce blood viscosity, the literal thickness and resistance of blood itself. Thick viscous blood is mechanically harder to pump and moves poorly through the small peripheral vessels that supply your hands and feet. That is one of the primary physiological reasons why extremities stay cold even when core body temperature is normal. When blood becomes more fluid, it reaches further. You feel that as warmth returning to places that have been cold for years. Half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon per day, taken completely raw, heat degrades thymoquinone rapidly and significantly. Mix it into a small amount of raw honey to manage the strong distinctive taste. And here is a medical caution I will state plainly. Black seed oil has documented clinically significant interactions with blood-thinning medications. If you are currently taking warfarin, any aspirin therapy regimen, or any anticoagulant medication, speak with your physician before introducing this oil. That interaction is real, it is documented, and it is not something to experiment around. Number 4 is flaxseed oil. This is the most concentrated plant-based source of alpha-linolenic acid, the plant form of omega-3 fatty acid that you can access without a prescription. Alpha-linolenic acid converts in the body into the longer-chain omega-3 compounds that directly suppress inflammatory signaling throughout the vascular system. These compounds protect the endothelial lining from oxidative damage. They reduce platelet aggregation, meaning blood is less prone to the microclot formation that progressively restricts peripheral blood flow in aging vessels. They support arterial wall flexibility over time, countering the stiffening process that makes circulation increasingly effortful with each passing year. For anyone who does not eat fatty fish regularly or cannot tolerate fish oil supplements, flaxseed oil is your most accessible plant-based path to meaningful omega-3 arterial support. Research also links consistent flaxseed oil consumption to reliable modest reductions in LDL cholesterol. Not dramatic in isolation, but meaningful when combined with its omega-3 anti-inflammatory effects on the arterial wall. The rule around flaxseed oil is completely non-negotiable, and I need you to remember it. Never heat it. Not ever, not even gently. Alpha-linolenic acid oxidizes almost instantly under heat, and heated flaxseed oil does not simply become less effective. It produces lipid peroxides that actively damage the endothelial lining you are trying to restore. Cold applications only, always. Stir it into yogurt, blend it into a smoothie, drizzle it over food that is already plated and cooled. Refrigerated storage in a dark bottle consumed within 6 weeks of opening. 1 tablespoon per day cold delivers consistent, meaningful benefit. Number 3 is virgin coconut oil. And I am going to address the controversy around this one directly because dismissing the concern does nobody any favors. Virgin coconut oil is high in saturated fat. That is a fact, and the caution many cardiologists have expressed is not unreasonable. But here is the specific biochemical detail that changes the picture for this particular oil. The saturated fat in virgin coconut oil is predominantly in the form of medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs. Unlike the long-chain saturated fats found in meat and dairy, MCTs do not enter conventional lipid circulation in the same way. The liver metabolizes them almost immediately, converting them directly to energy rather than packaging them into the lipoprotein structures that contribute to arterial plaque buildup over time. Beyond the metabolic difference, small controlled studies on virgin coconut oil specifically show that consistent use in limited amounts tends to raise HDL cholesterol, the protective cholesterol that performs reverse cholesterol transport, physically collecting excess LDL from arterial walls and carrying it back to the liver for clearance. Raising HDL is one of the most difficult and most valuable things you can do for long-term arterial health. My clinical position is measured and honest. For generally healthy adults over 60 focused on circulation support, 1 teaspoon per day of virgin unrefined cold-pressed coconut oil is a reasonable and careful inclusion. For patients with existing elevated LDL or established cardiovascular disease, do not add this without direct physician guidance first. 1 teaspoon, virgin and unrefined only. Number 2 is extra virgin olive oil. I place this at number 2 not because it is the predictable answer, but because the evidence behind it in cardiovascular medicine is more extensive, more replicated, and more clinically consistent than for almost any other single dietary intervention we have ever studied. The PREDIME trial, one of the largest and most rigorous nutritional intervention studies ever conducted, followed over 7,000 high-risk adults. Those assigned to consume extra virgin olive oil daily experienced a 30% reduction in major cardiovascular events compared to the control group. 30% from food. That is one of the most significant results in the history of nutritional cardiology, and it deserves to be stated with the full weight it carries. The mechanism works simultaneously on 2 fronts. The oleic acid content supports healthy lipid balance, reducing oxidizable LDL while preserving HDL. But the far more powerful and unique contribution comes from the polyphenol content, specifically oleocanthal and oleuropein, compounds that exist in meaningful concentrations only in genuine high-quality extra virgin olive oil. Oleocanthal inhibits the same COX enzyme inflammatory pathways targeted by ibuprofen, not in a single dramatic dose, but consistently, cumulatively, every day, building over months and years of daily use into sustained, measurable arterial protection. These polyphenols also specifically intercept LDL oxidation, the process that converts LDL into the reactive sticky form that initiates plaque formation on arterial walls. Extra virgin olive oil also directly stimulates nitric oxide production in endothelial cells, actively encouraging your arteries to produce the relaxation signal that keeps blood flowing freely. 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Raw application always delivers the greatest polyphenol benefit. Over salads, stirred into dishes after cooking is complete, combined with lemon juice as a dressing base. A note on quality I cannot emphasize strongly enough. Look for a harvest date within 18 months printed on the label. Taste it before you cook with it. Genuine high polyphenol extra virgin olive oil has a distinctly sharp, slightly bitter, throat-catching peppery quality. If yours is mild, smooth, and buttery, the polyphenols have degraded through age or processing, and what you have is a pleasant cooking fat with minimal therapeutic value for your arteries. Now, number 1, and this is what I told you about at the very beginning of this video, the combination that produces something neither oil creates alone. When chia seed oil and extra virgin olive oil are taken together first thing in the morning, the effect on your endothelial function operates through 2 simultaneous complementary mechanisms that target the same biological problem from opposite directions. Chia seed oil is one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids available. In this combination, its primary role is reducing blood viscosity and calming systemic vascular inflammation, making blood more fluid and more capable of reaching peripheral vessels that have been starved of adequate flow. But its most specific and critical function in this pairing is this. The omega-3 compounds in chia seed oil suppress the pro-inflammatory signals that chronically block nitric oxide production in the endothelium. That inflammatory blockage is one of the central reasons arteries progressively lose their ability to dilate properly as we age. Extra virgin olive oil then works on the same target from the other direction. Its polyphenols, oleocanthal and oleuropein, do not just suppress inflammation passively, they actively stimulate nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme responsible for producing nitric oxide in endothelial cells. One oil removes the inflammatory obstacle suppressing nitric oxide production. The other oil simultaneously stimulates the biological machinery that produces it. The result is a level of arterial relaxation and peripheral circulation improvement that research demonstrates neither oil achieves as effectively when used in isolation. One clears the path, the other drives the signal. Together they produce an effect the individual components simply cannot replicate separately. This is the synergy. This is why the combination matters and why I recommend it above everything else on this list. 1 teaspoon of chia seed oil, 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. mixed into a small glass of warm water. Warm specifically, not hot, because hot water begins degrading the delicate omega-3 fatty acids immediately. Fresh lemon squeezed in for mild antioxidant support, taken first thing in the morning before any food. The timing is not arbitrary. Endothelial function is measurably at its lowest point in the early morning hours, driven by the cortisol awakening response. Nitric oxide production is suppressed. Arterial tone is at its highest. Supporting endothelial nitric oxide production at precisely this window has the greatest practical impact on how your circulation performs for the entire rest of the day. If your dizziness is worst in the morning, if your leg heaviness peaks before noon, if your hands and feet are coldest when you first wake up, this combination targets that window directly. 3 rules for using all of these oils correctly, because the right oils applied the wrong way deliver almost nothing. Never heat oils that must stay cold. Flaxseed oil, chia seed oil, and black seed oil are permanently cold oils. Heat does not simply reduce their therapeutic benefit, it converts their sensitive fatty acids into compounds that actively damage the blood vessels you are working to restore. Match every oil to the correct temperature every single time without exception. Store every oil on this list in a dark glass bottle away from direct light and heat sources. Oxidized oil does not simply become ineffective, it becomes inflammatory. The bottle sitting on your counter beside the stove is being chemically degraded every single day by light and ambient heat. Dark glass, cool shelf, away from the window. Consistency beats quantity without exception, every time in every study. 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil used every single day for 6 months does measurably more for your arterial health than 3 tablespoons used sporadically whenever you remember. Every piece of research behind every oil on this list was built on habitual, sustained daily consumption. A single therapeutic dose changes almost nothing. A daily habit compounds quietly into changes you can feel in your body and measure in your blood work. Here is your challenge starting tomorrow morning. Before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else enters your body, 1 teaspoon of chia seed oil, 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil, a small glass of warm water, fresh lemon squeezed in every morning for 7 days without missing one. On day 7, I want you to ask yourself 3 specific, honest questions. Are your legs lighter when you climb stairs than they were 7 days ago? Are your hands and feet noticeably warmer by the time evening arrives? Is your thinking clearer and sharper in that first hour after waking up than it was a week ago? These 3 changes, lighter legs, warmer extremities, clearer morning cognition, are the earliest measurable signs that peripheral circulation is beginning to respond. They are not dramatic, they are not overnight, but they are real, and if you are paying genuine attention to your body over 7 days, you will notice them shifting. Then come back to this video, scroll to the comments, and tell me specifically which oil you started with and what you noticed by day 7. Your experience is not just feedback, it is evidence for the next person sitting exactly where you were at the beginning of this video, uncertain and not yet sure whether any of this is genuinely worth trying. Your comment could be the thing that moves them to start. If someone in your life is over 60 and living with cold feet, morning dizziness, or legs that exhaust them before the day is done, share this video with them directly today. Do not just send a link. Sit with them if you can. Watch it together. The conversation it starts could genuinely change the quality of their daily life in ways that extend far beyond circulation.